what makes something fundamentally interesting? What makes you want to watch something? What makes you want to click it? You clicked on this video, right? Like, so why? I've actually been thinking about this a lot because I'm currently working on writing like 110, 120 page script because I'm working on making a full-length animated movie. It's a lot of work, but the goal is to make something that's interesting. The way I'm gonna like be describing this concept is through the scene I'm working on writing. We're over here, and I think what we want to do, yes, scene 5. Okay, now this scene is super duper important. So we open on the scene where Betty cautiously drives down the driveway, stops, searches for life, takes a deep breath, and turns off the vehicle. There's a million books on what makes things interesting. For example, Save the Cat says that there's 4 elements to every winning log line. Basically, this whole book is trying to tell you how to make an interesting movie. Just give me 1 second, give me a chance, please, okay? But this is Editing Joshua, okay? This resource I'm about to show you guys is something that a writer friend I have showed me a few weeks ago that is completely, like, literally not kidding, I'm not joking when I say this, revolutionized how I'm writing. But before we get into the weeds here, Betty Fleetfoot is the main character, and Spud is the antagonist, and this is the scene where Betty Fleetfoot, the main character, meets Spud, the antagonist of the film. It's pretty important. We got to do this the right way. This has like basically changed my life and completely changed the way I'm writing, and this actually has the secret combination that makes things fundamentally interesting, at least I think. Basically every single scene, including like in a video, should have 6 plot points inside of whatever's happening, and I think that makes things fundamentally interesting. So back to my scene and my outline, I should say. I finally realized that once a character has a goal that you set up in the beginning, which is what I tried to do in the intro, I set up the goal of I want to figure out what makes things interesting. And then I had the obstacle that I have no idea what makes things interesting. And I've not spell checked this either, so just don't hold me to that high of a standard, please, okay? I'm trying to figure out how do I make this scene that I'm working on interesting. Let's go back to Faden here. So, oh, wait, I love the scene, sorry, but let's ignore that. Actually, no, this scene was so much fun to write. I've not talked about it yet at all, but maybe that's another video, scene number 4. But because I'm still writing scene number 5, I just want to talk about that one specifically. So the Betty's goal is she needs to apologize to the antagonist for messing around on his land, which maybe is a really bad idea, but I think it's a really cool idea, so we're just gonna go with it, which is really exciting, okay? We meet Spud. Spud's very first line, okay? We meet him, a man 49, seated in the shadow of the front porch, watches her. He is solidly built and a bit portly. This is Spud. And Spud Dauber yells at her, "What do you want?" You know, he's not very happy. He's in the shadow. He's mysterious. And then we see him and he speaks. Betty looks toward the voice, waits a beat. Now a beat is just like a unit of time. So for example, I think I've recently learned this sort of. Now this is 1 beat and he is like seated in the shadow. That's 1 beat. I think that's how that works. I'm not really sure though. It's the smallest unit of a scene, I think. Someone tell me if I'm wrong in the comments. Now, what we've set up here is that there's a mysterious person. We have Betty who's nervous. And then there's like this tension and this conflict. Betty's saying there's a lot of internal conflict. So if I was writing this as a book, which actually technically, fun fact, this was originally a tall tale that like my little sister wrote like when she was little. She's not little anymore. She's just like a year younger than me, but whatever. So that's a fun fact for you guys. And we have the goal. Betty needs to apologize, which we've already set up in the previous scenes. And then we have Spud, who's like, who is this stranger? Then we have this fun little bit of backstory right here, where Spud Dauber says, "Eliza, is that you?" So Eliza is, I'm not going to go into the details of that, but maybe sometime I'll talk about this whole backstory thing happened to Spud, and there's a lot of, anyways, just move on. What I'm trying to say and what I probably should have said in the intro of this video, which I totally failed to do, and could actually change your life, I'm being a little dramatic, but seriously, I think I figured out what makes something interesting, and I've totally missed that, and while I'm rewriting the script, which has been so much work, and I've had a ton of awesome resources, for example, Save the Cat, and it's conflict, okay? I constantly am avoiding conflict, and I know everyone just said, "Oh, really?" But let me prove this to you. The reason you guys want to leave right now is because I just ended that conflict. There was conflict, and I was like, well, like, what is this thing? What makes things interesting? And then I couldn't figure it out, and finally I reached the end. And once there's an end to something, then the conflict is over, and the tension is released, and it no longer is interesting. So yeah, that's why conflict fundamentally makes things interesting. But how do you actually do that? I feel like our society just tells us flashing lights, really over the top visual effects, and like loud sounds and bass drops is somehow interesting. But honestly, is it? I don't know, maybe it tricks our minds into thinking something's interesting, but is it actually interesting? At the end of the day, I feel like what fundamentally makes something interesting is what's underneath the surface. It's not just pixels on the screen. It's not just words in a book. I feel like it's deeper than that. Editing Josh, I should move the camera a bit. I know it looks like atrocious and it's like all dark in here. Probably should have turned on a light. Light. But anywho, I just wanted to list the 6 points because somehow I totally forgot to do that. So the 6 things that go into every single scene to make them to make the scene a scene, I feel like, that I've completely, like, over the last dozen years of making like short films and writing full movies now and stuff, that I've totally missed somehow. Like, no one told me this and I don't know how. And I just am like, yes, let's go. I finally know this. And now, like, next time I do a short film, it'll be so much better because I know what to put inside of each scene. It really is crazy. So first of all, you need a goal. The character needs a goal. Okay, it's something concrete. I'm just reading. Okay, I'm just gonna put that on screen so you don't have to look at me anymore. And I just grabbed this from some website. So if you want to look at that, you can look at it there. But anywho, and then there needs to be conflict, direct opposition. That's very, very important. The conflict, goal and conflict. If there's 2 things that you like out of all the things, thanks for turning on the light. That's awesome. Yeah, so there's 2 things you have in your scene. Like, if you decide to ignore everything else in this, it's the goal and the conflict that you really, 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 really want to hone in on. That's top priority, I feel like. Okay. And then if you want to continue and like go more in more detail, then you have the disaster. Okay. Like something like, and yeah, like, honestly, after the goal and conflict, it's like, it's really helpful, but it's not like, I don't abide by it like law necessarily. There's a direct obstruction of the goal, i.e. this is an example. The character wants info which the antagonist refuses to supply, and then what I like about the sheet right here is they give you methods for each one. I'm highlighting, you can't see it. Actually, I can fix that. All right, there. So fix the problem. Great skill. Oh, hey, look, Josh, you figured it out in like 5 seconds. Okay, so there. And what I really like about this thing that I did not put together, you can go to this website and you can download it. Okay. They give you methods for like accomplishing the conflict, the goal, and the disaster. And then there's the second half of this whole thing, which is this is the second half. I'm no expert here. I'm just telling you guys kind of like a report on what I've learned. Okay. But there's the reaction. All right. And you want to relay emotion. This is something that I also think is pretty important. And like, I'd say if you want to skip this, which you shouldn't, you definitely want to do this. Like having that emotional aspect to the scene, I feel like is really important. So then they give you a really awesome list like of things like anger, confusion, despair, panic, shame, regret, shock, just like random things that you can like have your character emotionally like relate to the other character or something, and then there's the dilemma and the decision. The decision is actually almost just as important to me as the conflict, because boy, this is like its own video. I feel like Betty Fleetfoot was not making the decisions in the movie, which was because I did not want her to have any conflict. So to have conflict, often you need your main character to make a decision. And that's something I have a hard time doing, and I'm probably going to talk about that in like an upcoming clip. So yeah, back to the video. I felt like I really should have gone through the 6 points to make your scenes awesome. Even if you're not writing a scene, if you're doing anything creative, I feel like, or if you're telling any sort of story in like a video and you're writing something, just anything, I feel like this could be super duper helpful. I personally absolutely hate conflict. Okay, I avoid conflict at all costs. So it's been hard for me to implement this into my movie. Something I've had to realize is that it's necessary for a story. So the problem I've been having is that I didn't want to make my main character, because I relate with this character a lot, and I've put a lot of myself into this character. Who's Betty Fleetfoot, by the way. I probably should have mentioned that. I need to remember that like these videos, like new people might be watching these, so like I should like add some context for a change. So sorry, I'm gonna try to get better at that. But I don't like putting conflict in my stories, especially with the main character. I don't like the main character to be doing things that I would be like, oh whoa, that's definitely putting your foot in the sand right there. And I only like to do that when it's like really important. But what I'm realizing more and more is that if you don't do that, if your main character doesn't do that, it's not a main character. Suddenly someone has to be making those choices, and if there's no one making those choices, your story is fundamentally lame. Okay, so this is gonna sound strange, but a few weeks ago my dad we just scroll YouTube sometimes for no reason and just like put random movies that are online for free just on. Okay, I don't know why, we just do it for some reason, but we managed to find some really bad movies. Okay, just movies that really should have never been made. But we found one specific movie, I don't even know what it was called. For the first time I could pinpoint what the problem with it was. There was no conflict. Nothing was happening. It was just, this is happening, then this is happening, then this is happening, and nothing was happening. It was just, I'm sitting here, and now I'm here, and I'm walking, and now I'm still sitting here. You know, it's just like, okay, cool, but there's nothing happening. I need something. I need someone to say something that I need two ideas to clash, and that's what makes things interesting. So I'm gonna get to work and continue working on rewriting the script. I'm currently on scene 5, page 11, and there's a lot more work to do. I just had someone ask me in the Discord server, so are you like, do you have a team or something? But no, it's just me, guys. Wow. So yeah, I'm gonna continue working on rewriting the script, and hopefully I am not as afraid to put conflict in my movies. Also, by the way, I was very strategic that he struggles to stand. He's older, okay? He's not like that old. 49 is not that old, honestly. Okay, but I feel like that's a little bit of character, you know? You want to give each character a limp and an eye patch or something, you know? Like make them unique, I feel like. So I feel like that's a really fun way to do that. Quite literally, actually, he has a limp. But that's important for later, because there's actually more backstory that before this scene happens, before the movie even begins, I had the scene actually outlined. Oh, I don't know if you could see that. I had that scene outlined up there on my cork board, which I just tried to show you, but my camera's connected to my computer right now, so yeah, that's not gonna work out very well. But anywho, all that to say is, there's this scene. Actually, you know what? I want to talk to you about this for a minute. This is really fun, but it's also kind of sad at the same time. But I don't know. Oh wait, there it is. All right, perfect. So basically what happens is, apparently Spud Dauber is terminally, actually no, I think I already talked about this once, but he's terminally ill, okay, and he just finds that out, and this is like a big, like, whoa, you know, that shakes you, you know, I mean, this is something that we don't actually show in the movie, so that when we open on Betty and have her family like express their distaste to Spud, which is like kind of the conflict of the movie, Fleetfoots don't like Daubers, and Daubers don't like Fleetfoots, basically. That's a super duper like child's way of explaining it, but we'll just go with that. The fact that he's very sick and might be dying changes that, and that's kind of how things get going. That's why Spud is willing to do this big thing for Betty, which is about to happen in the inciting incident. That actually is going to be a problem while coming up, because inciting incident is supposed to happen right on page 12, and on page 12, well, actually we have a whole bunch of omitted scenes, so it might just work out. It's rough, I don't know. All to say is, we have Spud Dauber, okay. I'm just going to skip ahead a little bit because I'm going to run out of time really, really fast. Betty sees Spud, and she's like, are you Mr. Dauber? So I listed, so the only reason I was able to write the scene so fast, that was basically all of it was this morning, I think, which is crazy, actually. Dude, that's awesome. Was because I outlined this over the last few days, honestly. This took me too long to figure out the outline for the scene, which is all this, oh wait. So I didn't even finish outlining this side. This is just from another scene, which is hilarious, I think. This is confusing to me myself, and you guys, I can't imagine how confusing this is for the viewer, so sorry about this, my bad, okay? I need to do better at this, okay? That's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna make a video on who is Spud Dauber, and we're gonna go all into detail. I really am excited about doing this, okay? I'm gonna do videos dedicated on each character, and as I like learn more about them, as I write, I can like update them or something. So Betty states her goal to Spud. I need to apologize to you. So, okay, finally, Spud turns to her as if she was a purple elephant. Now, I felt like there was a really fun way to describe it. And normally, I'm not that creative when I'm writing, like, at 5 in the morning. I did wake up really early just to write. I was like, okay, we're going to do this. Let's go. And we were actually able to get a lot done, which is really encouraging and awesome. But anyway, let's not talk about that. Let's talk about Spud's reaction. He's like, what? And Betty repeats herself. I need to apologize to you. And Spud's like, I heard that. and Betty steps a little closer. I like to include scene blocking for some reason. It just makes it more dynamic. I'm like, okay, something's actually happening physically in the scene. Like, you know, it's not just the conversation where there's conflict and stuff. You're actually moving forward through the scene and interacting with things. It's really fun, I feel like. Betty's goal is accomplished when this happens. But Spud continues, okay? So technically, yeah, we could end the scene right here after Spud's reaction to Betty, like, finishing her goal. There's still, like, some things happening. And then Spud continues the scene, which is something I've been thinking about. Like, can the scene continue? And in this case, I'm going to have it continue. The audience needs to know more, so that's why we're continuing it. And it's hard to know when, like, you're supposed to end a scene as soon as possible and not just drag it on. So I don't know. So that a lot of things have been going along in my brain. But basically, guys, what I've been trying to say and explain to you guys is that conflict is what makes things interesting, okay? That you know, okay, you know, two things pulling at yourself or at whatever the object of the scene is. For example, in this video, the conflict has been what makes things interesting. In the scene, what makes it interesting, I think, is the conflict of how is Spud going to respond? And now that Spud knows, well, he eventually finds out who Betty Fleetfoot is, how is he going to respond? That's the conflict, I think. Once again, this is all work in progress, and I have no idea really what I'm talking about, so don't take anything I've said as, like, gospel truth, because I probably am wrong about it, but that's actually okay, because it's all a journey, okay? And I'm making, like, if you guys are, like, still confused about what I'm doing, this whole channel is, like, basically me trying to make a full-length animated movie inside of this 3D program called Blender, and it's been lots of fun. I've been working on it for 500 plus days. I actually don't know what the day is. I try to keep track of that, but I've totally forgot to look at that this morning. And I'm gonna get back to work on rewriting, and I have to also edit this video. So, like, there's a lot of things to do. So see you guys later, and enjoy the journey. Bye bye. And join the Discord server also. I should say that. Yeah, bye.